Man, this receiving room is looking very crowded all of a sudden. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. So with the mini camp finally behind us today, they had an off day technically. They went paintballing instead of actually having mini camp practices, just as a team building exercise. And OTAs for the past 2 weeks also behind us. Figure now is a decent time to figure out what's been going on the past 3 weeks and how our receiving room is shaping up and who could potentially make the roster. So to start off, currently on our roster at the receiver position, we have Randall Cobb, Danny Davis, Romeo Dubs, Amari Rogers, Malik Taylor, Samori Torrei, Sammy Watkins, and Juwan Winfrey. Now, Alan Lazard is technically not on the roster, but he will be on the roster. And Christian Watson hasn't signed his second round deal, but he will eventually sign it. So we have them to be on the roster in the near future. So with them added to the list, that leaves us with 10 receivers. Now, before the draft, pretty much most Packer fans have been clamoring for us to sign a free agent receiver. We did end up signing Sammy Watkins, but we were trying to push for more, whether it be maybe Odell later on in the season, or Will Fuller, or Jarvis Landry, or even a Julio Jones. A lot of us were hoping we would sign another veteran receiver, but now after the draft, our receiver crew is looking very crowded. And I'm not even sure who could potentially be cut, and there's going to be tough decisions with just the current receivers on the roster. I can't even imagine who else we could cut if we signed another veteran receiver like Julio Jones. Now, what will also make this a lot more of a difficult decision is if the Packers decide to sign 6 receivers to the rosters, as they have done historically under Matt LaFleur, or if they will go against the grain and actually sign 7 receivers. Now, receiver snaps, they don't accumulate as much under Matt LaFleur like they did under Mike McCarthy, because a lot of the offense does run through 2 tight end sets or 2 running backs. It flows through more than just the receivers. So typically, Matt LaFleur hasn't kept 6 receivers. So for the look at the roster it is currently today, I could see about probably 4 receivers that are deemed locks to make the roster, as pretty much a sure thing could be. Those players include Randall Cobb, Romeo Dubs, Christian Watson, and Alan Lazard. So that's 4 roster spots probably already taken. And let's say we're going for 7 positions, that the Packers will keep 7 receivers this year. That only leaves 3 slots left. So I feel like Sammy Watkins, the way they're talking about him, if he can regain to some kind of form, to where he was in Buffalo, he's getting a second chance. Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers have had nothing but high praises for him. He's shown up to a lot of the practices. He did miss a couple of the open OTAs, but he was there for some of the OTAs. And he has a good history with Matt LaFleur when he was at the Rams, along with the receivers coach back in Buffalo. So there is a history there to where he could regain form. And really the only knock on Sammy Watkins in his career has been not being able to stay on the field. I feel like if he's able to stay on the field, he actually could produce in 1,000-yard receiving. And with that, we have 5 roster positions filled. For the 6th one, I feel like Samori Torrei, despite being a 7th round pick, will be this year's 7th round pick that makes the roster. Every year under Goody, there's been a 7th round pick that has made the roster, and I feel like it could be Torrei. He's got really good route running ability, and I don't see the Packers willing to risk that kind of talent or potential talent to go to the practice squad and be picked up by another team. And that leaves us with 6 receivers on the roster. But this year, I do feel like the Packers are going to hold 7 receivers. And it's going to come down to Juwan Winfrey based off his camp so far and last year's camp, and Amari Rogers. Amari Rogers is not a lock for me. The reason I say that is because where is he going to play? He was a 2nd round pick last year, and he practically produced nothing and showed nothing. He's terrible on special teams when receiving. He was the worst special teams punt returner out of all the players, including Cobb, David Moore, Kylan Hill. Every one of the special teams punt returners that played did better than Amari Rogers. So he can't contribute to receiving. And we did just draft 2 receivers in Christian Watson and Romeo Dubs that are most likely better punt returners already. So he doesn't have a spot on punt returner. He probably doesn't have a spot as a gunner. And unless the Packers want to take a chance and try to have him fill the Randall Cobb role in the inevitable chance that Randall Cobb gets hurt again, or they want to pace Randall Cobb and only have him on third downs, I don't see them entirely doing that, because Sammy Torrei could take that position. So with all that, it kind of leaves Amari Rodgers on the roster bubble, despite being in year 2, being down like 4 pounds or 6 pounds or however many he is, and getting in better shape. I don't feel like he's a lock, and a lot of people think he's kind of a sure-in to make the roster, but I don't believe so. Juwan Winfrey, depending on his offseason, he's already shown great things in OTAs and the first day of minicamp. He was held out the second day for undisclosed reasons. It could be just a temporary thing. Hopefully it's not an injury bug, because if it is, that'll be 2 years in a row. Then he would probably eventually start on the PUP list or lose his job due to injury, a la kind of like how Equimedius St. Brown's career was going. So all in all, this offseason, it's going to be interesting if the Packers do decide to keep 7 receivers. And if they do, what 7 receivers are they going to keep on the 53-man roster? My money, if Juwan Winfrey stays healthy and continues to produce in training camp like he has done the past couple of seasons and gets a preseason and does well, Juwan Winfrey could earn that spot over Amari Rodgers, and Amari Rodgers could be cut or potentially to the practice squad. I'm not really sure if he would not get signed by another team though. But let me know what you think down in the comments. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and as always, go Pack Go.